This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
My name is Michael Haley. I'm the Deputy Mayor of Oakham.
And this consultation today, this is the first kind of public event that you've held, apart from obviously at Victoria Hall a while back, and you're still asking people what they want from the plan, really.
Well, yes. In March we'll be carrying out our first survey, because the neighbourhood plan at the moment is obviously not in place. It's what people want. So what we're doing between now and March is engaging with people so they understand what the plan is about, what it can deliver, equally important what it can't deliver, to get people to think about the survey. Once we've carried out the survey, then we'll form the first draft plan and go back to people, and it will develop from that point onwards. We feel it's very important at the moment that people, A, want to engage, want to be involved in the development of Oakham and Barleythorpe, understand that they really can make a difference. It's not a consultation document. It will be embedded in the local plan once it's got to that stage, and they do think about what do they want and how they want to see their community develop.
There are all kinds of benefits from the plan, aren't there? For instance, protecting certain areas, encouraging development in others. Places have to grow, that's a simple fact.
Yes, it is. The plan is not about stopping development. It is about deciding where should the development go, the style of development, the infrastructure to support that development and the increase in the population.
Now, Oakham's changed massively, hasn't it, over the last 10, 15, 20 years? I mean, we're standing here where the old cattle market was, of course, when we first started.
Well, I've only lived in Oakham for 6 years, so I haven't seen very much of those changes. But clearly from the style of properties, it has changed the way most market towns have changed. I think the important thing is that in the future, the market town changes the way that people live here want it to change, not to have it imposed on them.
Now, you've got a suggestion board where people are putting post-it notes up. What kind of things do they want? Are they concerned about?
Well, there's all sorts of things. It's the style and type of properties where they'll go, the infrastructure. A lot of people are concerned about schools, medical facilities, things like that. So really today it's about encouraging people to think about what they want, so that when they complete the survey, they can do it from an informed position.
Whenabouts will that happen? I mean, all our areas are at different stages in the planning process. When actually do Oakham residents get the chance to really vote on how it all happens?
Well, the first survey, we're planning to send that out in March of next year.
So it's a long way to go, but you're going to consult, presumably, throughout that time.
It is quite a long time, but we feel it's important that we do engage with people, inform people, let them know what it's all about, what the plan's about, so that they can come from it from an informed point of view. And of course that they do want to fill it in, because if people don't fill it in, then it makes things very difficult.
Yes, they can't moan afterwards, can they, basically, when things happen that they could have possibly had a say on.
Yes, well, our strapline is your voice, your choice. Simple as that. If people need to tell us what they want, we can't guess, and we shouldn't decide for them.
And it's anyone in Oakham or Barleythorpe that lives in the area or works in the area, anyone who has a vested interest in the community, I guess.
That is correct, yes. So obviously we're engaging with the public like we are today, but we'll also be engaging with different groups within Oakham. We need to engage with developers, landowners. So to do it properly, it's quite a long process, but we'll get there.
An exciting time, though, isn't it, actually, to see the next 20 years of the town? That's what it's about.
It is, yes, I think it is, yes. Yes, it's not just for us, it's for our children, our grandchildren into the future.
Councillor Michael Haley, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio today.
Thank you.
This is Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. If you're heading around Oakham, you'll see the signs for this, I'm sure. It's Murder In, performed by the Rutland Arts Theatre Society, and it begins tomorrow through until Saturday. I've got the director with me this morning, who's Andrew Chapman. Now, Murder In, INN, so this is actually the place where things are going on, basically, is it?
That's right, yes. It takes place at the Barnsley Inn, which is set in New England in America. And basically it's about a group of tourists, due to unforeseen circumstances, get forced to stay at an inn that is closed for the season, where it has a resident poltergeist who has a thing for throwing knives.
Oh, crikey. Are we expecting special effects and
No,
things?
no, don't worry. The audience won't see any knives being thrown at them or anything, but you always see after the knife has been thrown as such.
Now, this is all good fun, isn't it? It's nothing too dark.
Oh, no, it's in the vein of Agatha Christie. There are some various humorous moments and some little bit of hammy acting due to the plot, but no, it's nothing dark at all, no.
And tickets are still available for this. If people go to Coleman's in Oakham,
That's
they
right,
can
in
save
the High
themselves
Street.
a couple of pounds, can't they, rather than paying on the door?
Yes, £8 for tickets and £10 on the door.
Could you give us a few names of people that are in? Apologies if there's one that you missed, who's a crucial one. But
we have local illuminaries such as Steve Green, Lizzie Jordan, Mick Barker. I hope she doesn't mind me saying it. Our oldest player is Joy Gregg, who is over the age of 35. I'm sure she won't mind me saying that.
I think you've got away with that one, yes absolutely.
Jenny Harris, another one, so there's various people from Oakham and Uppingham.
And once again, you got the facilities of Brook Priory School, the theatre there.
That's wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and I'm very grateful to them. It's a very nice theatre that they've got there, and we're proud to use it.
And tickets available for all performances so far. You've got 3 performances in the evening, haven't you?
That's right. Thursday the 27th, Friday the 28th and Saturday the 29th. Just before Halloween.
Yes.
So I want a bit of a scare, but not too scary.
No, indeed. A bit of a happy fright.
That's
you
right,
might say.
Yes. This play, if I may say as well, was first put on in America in 2000, and I think we're the first British amateur group to put it on in this country, so nobody will know the story.
No, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
A bit of history and innovation. Have you enjoyed directing this?
Yeah, well, this is my third go at directing, but yeah, it's been fun. The cast have been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We've had laughs. I mean, you've got to be serious, of course, as you know, but no, it's been good fun. Very good fun.
Andrew Chapman, thanks for joining us this morning to talk about Murder Inn. It begins tomorrow night at Brook Priory Theatre, and it's nightly, curtain up at 7:30. Tickets are £10 on the door or £8 in advance from Coleman's, and it all takes place at Brook Priory.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio. We're at Uppingham Town Hall, about to see A Love Letter to Rutland, a film that, without real passion, probably would never have got made. I'm here with the director, Bill Clark. You must be just on a high, just not quite knowing which way to turn in terms of the national attention for this film, the local support for it.
Well, it's everything we hoped for, and it's everything the people that the film's about deserve, and it's everything that the people of Rutland deserve, because without the people of Rutland we would never have got it made, and the cooperation and collaboration we had was fantastic. Personally, I am, as you say, over the moon. I mean, of course I am. I'm delighted. I am proud of what we've achieved because it's exactly as we set out to do it. A Rutland film set in Rutland, about Rutland people, and with the collaboration and cooperation of the county. So, yeah, absolutely.
And here we are at Uppingham Town Hall. The red carpet has been laid out for the first time I can ever remember in living memory.
Well, we wanted to say thanks to everybody, so it's an invite-only evening, and Neil Wedge, the town clerk, said, let's zizz it up a bit, and we said, sure, why not? And so, after all the hard work, it's deserving of its scrubbing up and deserving of its event evening.
What do you think people will take away from seeing this? Because this particularly is the thank you, isn't it, really? The thank you to those who helped make it happen.
I think what I hope they will take away is the fact that projects like this can really, really help the county and get it noticed worldwide and get it admired and respected the way it should be. I've just got back from Korea, and a lot of people that I was working with out there asked me where this beautiful place in England was that the film was shot, and I told them, and I've just said to Ed Burrows, prepare for an influx of Asian people, because they loved it. And when we take this film out worldwide, then people all over the world will get a chance to see just how wonderful it is here.
So where can people see it themselves? Stamford Arts Centre, 18th, 19th of November. Now, it's at Corby, isn't it? Starting actually on the proper release date itself. Yeah,
it's on Corby for a week. Stamford's just actually added an extra date in December. Melton are running it as well. It's at Phoenix and Showcase in Leicester, and Wisbech. I'm going over to Wisbech next week to do a Q&A over there. So we haven't got every cinema in the country, but in the Midlands we're very well represented. Nottingham as well. So we are represented well in the Midlands, and we think that as the word of mouth grows on the film, so other cinemas will support us. But it's a great time for film, and there are so many good films out there, so everybody should get out and see as many as possible, in my mind.
And the cast you've got is quite incredible. I mean, you've got some really talented locals. You've got Joanne Froggatt, you have Tom Riley.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have, I think, two of the most talented young actors in the country right now, and Joe, we know, is a deeply successful, a very successful character actor. But Tom Riley is a revelation. I mean, he really is in this, and he put in so much effort with the prosthetics and mastering the imitation of Tom Ray's walk and life and inner character that I think he is just amazing. Both of them we're very lucky to have. But also little Ellie Copping from Market Harbour, fantastic little girl, and and so great to work with. And as you say, local people who really did put a lot into it.
Now, a lot of people, particularly in the Oakham area, know Tom and Nick Ray, and probably have for a long time. You've known them for a long time as well. Did you feel, in a way, this was something you had kind of had to put on the screen?
When I decided that I would have a go at telling their story, and that wasn't an instant decision. That took place over a lot of meetings and conversations. But once I'd done that, I did feel a responsibility to not walk away from that project, because that is the problem with what had happened to them. They had a fantastic life. They were on the verge of being very successful young people, and all that was taken away from them. And I think that they had enough of that. I didn't want to be a part of that process. So I always knew we would make something. I had no idea what that something might be for a long time. And to deliver this, I think, is just... I think it's a testament to the way that the entire unit, the entire production felt about Tom and Nick Ray. They are wonderful people, and nobody, having committed to them, wanted to let them down.
Absolutely. No, thank Bill Clark. Thanks for joining us again here.
Thank you, Rob.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
So, Pippa, as producer on this film, exactly how do you kind of connect everyone together? We know Bill from the creative side, we see the actors on screen. How does the producer actually make this happen here in Rutland?
Well, I'm sort of speaking on behalf of three of us, to be honest. So there is a wonderful lady called Mel Payton, who is Bill's regular business partner, and Mel and Bill had been pushing, shoving along at this for a couple of years before I got involved. There's another force of nature called Ros Hubbard, who is a casting director, and Ros was very instrumental, partly in getting me and Bill together, and partly in obviously assembling the most amazing cast. So the three of us between us then sort of set about, making a story that everyone tells you is far too tough for people to watch. Why would you want to make it? How do you get it into cinemas? A whole bunch of hurdles get chucked up at you. But we were lucky enough, I think, really early on to attach Jo Froggatt to the film. Jo was, at the height of her seductive powers in Downton Abbey. The world was at her feet. She wanted this. It was a role she really stuck in there for. And we kept nearly getting it together, and then she'd have to go back into Downton. And then we'd nearly get it together again, and then there was to be another series of Downton. And finally there came a moment where we were very close to being ready to make the film last autumn. And Jo was just coming out of the end of Downton, and then she said, actually, I'm going to go and live in the States for 6 months. So I said, oh my God, this is our moment. If we don't grab this now, then we've got to start all over again with someone else, and that would be terrible. So we went for it really fast. We're talking today on October the 26th. I suspect we were green-lit about a year ago today, which gave us sort of 4 weeks prep, very short for any film, particularly a film where you're going around asking people to help, which sometimes takes a bit longer than hurling money at them. And We went into production at the end of November. We were done by Christmas. We had the pleasure of being in Uppingham for Fat Stock Day, for the Christmas market turning on of the lights. It was a busy time of year. The weather's not great, but we were blessed with a couple of lovely days in Rutland Water. And, we got it done. And then you realise that because you've had the courage to make it, actually people do want to see it. We are being booked in the multiplexes. We are being given 4-star reviews, fingers crossed, touch wood. 3 so far, more to follow, I hope. And, you realise you were maybe you were right. And everybody's work is going to actually get out to an audience. There's no point in making a film for yourselves.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Anyone knows who, they see a film and they think, I really must get round to seeing that. And all of a sudden it's gone and then it disappears.
It's a market, it's a complication of the market of the world I live in, that actually the really big films probably come and go quicker because they're in the multiplexes and there's always something big opening the next week. And they're going to be crammed between now and Christmas with Star Wars, Harry Potter, you name it. We are starting there, which is great because it gives us a really broad reach. And if anyone knows anybody within reach of a showcase where the film is screening this weekend, please send them, because those numbers really matter. But what will happen from mid-November onwards is that anyway the film is going to pop up in all those wonderfully curated, rather more loved smaller screens. Stamford is a great example. I live down in Sussex and I'm taking it to Rye in a couple of weeks' time. Those are screens where sometimes someone will pop up and introduce the film for you, where certainly you'll have a chance to have a glass of wine, and we hope to play there well into the new year, frankly. So I predict, a long and healthy life with, an audience who care. We'll fight the big boys for as long as we can, but at some stage, we'll just find some love elsewhere.
And the NHS are taking it to their hearts and actually to the heart of what they do as well.
They are. I mean, the process of working, of discovering that we were in alignment with a huge public awareness campaign on behalf of sepsis being run by this wonderful small charity, the Sepsis Trust. That has been a huge bonus for the film, and they kindly tell us it's a huge bonus for them because they have our film out there doing their outreach work for them, really. It is building awareness. It's, we're in the storytelling business, but there's a way in which, by telling someone a story, you can embed that message so much deeper into their hearts and minds, sometimes than a rather dry piece of NHS, this is what you should do if. And when they first saw the film, they were going, well, yes, you deal with the quick time frame in which people need to react. You deal with the fact it appears to come from nowhere. You deal with the fact that mostly we don't think it's serious. Some of the symptoms are obviously there. And actually, the campaign is all about just having the back of your mind and ask the question, whether it's you or someone else, could this be sepsis? Because sometimes it is. Not often, and it's not cause for panic. But if you don't ever ask the question, then no one will ever consider it as an option, and people are dying who don't need to. So on that basis alone, I think our combined march out into the world is great. And what the NHS have said is, can we show it to our healthcare workers? That the healthcare professionals need to hear this too. And actually, showing them a film is not a bad bit of training. We'll follow it up with much more precise messaging. But, it will do the same thing to them. It will embed, and they're trying to deal with symptoms of 110 things at once. Let's just very simply say, could it be sepsis? And as we've said a lot, and there's a fabulous actor called Jason Watkins, who some of your listeners will know from W1A and Other Joys. And Jason and his wife sadly lost a daughter to sepsis. And I was with him a couple of weeks ago, and Jason stood up and said, very movingly, he said, look guys, we're not not trying to find the cure for cancer here. We're just trying to raise awareness. This doesn't need billions of pounds. It just needs us all to do our job and actually to help this small charity as well, because they are doing a great job. The Secretary of State, when I met him a few weeks ago, very kindly compared our film to Still Alice, which clearly went on to win Oscars and all sorts. And he said, he felt that the impact of that film, just in raising awareness of early onset Alzheimer's, had done, a terrific job. And, we were bracketed with Hollywood briefly, so let's hope we get bracketed again.
Rutland Radio.
Well, it came to me through the usual systems. I got sent a script about 4.5 years ago now through my agent, who stood behind me, and attached myself to the film. And as is often the case with independent film, lead actors and actresses get attached and move on, and schedules change, and it doesn't happen. So we lost the budget. There was different actors attached at one point, a different actor attached at one point. It was sort of that whole process. But ultimately, this script, Bill's script, and Tom and Nick's story just struck the most incredible chord with me, and I just felt it was a story that has to be told, and it was the most amazing love story I'd ever read in my life, and it's true. I just felt so passionate that people needed to know what they'd been through and know what an amazing, inspirational couple they are, and thank goodness so far so good. People seem to be really taking that from the film as well, which is exactly what I took from the script. So it's been 4.5 years of my life, I think probably 9 years of Bill Clark's life, our writer-director, and it's been Nick and Tom's life, which is the main thing, and we really wanted them to feel complete ownership of their story. So they were very involved when we filmed on set, and so it was a wonderful experience in lots of ways.
Can I ask you briefly about filming in Rutland? What was that like?
I tell you what, we could not have made this film without the support of Rutland, and that is absolutely true. We actually ended up making the film, I won't go into budget details, but we did end up making the film on half the budget that we originally wanted to, which would still be a low budget independent film. And there was a point I wobbled and went, how can we make this film, on this amount of money? Are we really going to try for this? But what I had underestimated at that point was the support, and what I hadn't experienced was the support that we had from the local community. Tom and Nick are from Rutland. It's a Rutland story. It's their story. And my goodness, the community went above and beyond to give us locations, to help us with costumes, literally, you name it, we had help, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
I'm Andrew Hunter. I'm the chairman of the Friends of Rutland Sailability, and my job basically is to encourage people to donate funds to keep us going, and also to encourage new members to the club who may be both able and disabled to come and join us.
What an auspicious occasion, and something very, very special and very different actually today for the club.
Well, it certainly was. Brian Stewart is a marvellous gentleman. He deserves this award thoroughly, and we are very fortunate that he's been able to take the award from the Lord Lieutenant and the High Sheriff. And it's a very auspicious occasion. He's a brave man, and we appreciate it.
And as well as his work in both forces and obviously at the Normandy landings, he's been a huge part of Rutland Sailability for the last 20 years. It seems, speaking to people today, everyone knows Brian.
Yes, in fact, he and his wife are honorary life members of Rutland Sailability. They've given so much to us, helped us, and really have been sort of one of the basic people founding Rutland Sailability.
And you felt very strongly that he was going to actually receive the France's highest honour.
Well, I was, but it was just by pure chance that I was visiting him at his house to see how he was, and he told me the problems he was having and the delay in him getting this medal. I rang the Ministry of Defence without any success, and eventually, just as I was about to leave, the postman arrived with the medal in it and the letter from the French ambassador. So it was very, very fortunate. It all joined together, and we're delighted for him. Absolutely.
Brian said he really didn't want any fuss. However, speaking to him today, he was very pleased to have his friends and family around him today.
Oh, I think it's absolutely brilliant. The citation he received from the French ambassador, when he received the award at home, I read it out to the family, to his wife and his carer, and they were in tears. So a very emotional occasion for him. So today just cemented the relationship between what he did many years ago and how he got here today.
Rutland Radio.
So, Brian, from what you were telling us, you were in, obviously, World War II, at the height of the conflict at Normandy. You were wearing a green beret because it was silent, and you were riding a bicycle you thought might be booby-trapped.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, my own bicycle got a bit of shrapnel. I couldn't use it. So I had to get somewhere to put my load on. It was full of ammunition, very, very, very heavy. And so I found this German bike. They hadn't got a carrier on the front. And then, unfortunately, somebody got killed, and I got one of our own bicycles, a corgi, and that was it. And then after a time, we went behind enemy lines, and when we got back into the line, we never used the bikes again. I don't know what happened to them. Must have ditched them, I don't remember. It's a long time ago.
And this award, the highest honour that the French government can bestow, you did wonder whether it would ever arrive.
Yeah, well, trophies are one. I didn't know about this. April, May last year, I got it from the French embassy on Monday 2 weeks ago. And that is when I opened this registered envelope from the French embassy, opened it up, and sure enough, there was the medal. I could have gone to have it given to me by a consulate, not the French ambassador. She said no. But she gave me a list of all the various consulates. One was Nottingham. In fact, they contacted Nottingham. They were willing to do it, and I said, no, I don't want all this fuss. I don't really.
So not a lot of fuss, really, that we're here today at the sailing club, as you're such a well-respected and long-serving member. Just a small gathering.
Yes, this will suit me. I mean, quite honest, it's gone viral. I got the medal, and I've given it to Lord Lieutenant. He's given it back to me. It's crazy.
At Normandy, you were in the army, but you also served in the Air Force too.
Yeah, I came out of the army in 46, 47, joined the RAF, 47, as a bottom of the rotary, and gradually worked myself up. Not commissioned, because I got war damage and I wasn't fit enough. But I kept in the service, and my last port of call, they asked me to stay until I was 58. The army now has got North Lothian, as you know, and Cottesmore. And there we are.
And 20 years here at Sailability until you were 90.
Not knowing the exact date. I'm a life member. I don't sail anymore. I've been told by the doctor not to sail. And I want to try and live a bit longer. I'm 92 in January.
As we head towards Remembrance Weekend, in just a weekend or so's time, where are your thoughts?
I will be at the service. My great friend who was killed on D-Day, I always put a cross in front of the church. And my wife, who had a cousin who was killed in Italy, and I put 2 crosses. I'll be going to church on the 13th this year, as you know, in the afternoon. I always go, if I can, to remember the guys that didn't come back.
Brian Stewart, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. Many congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani, and with me today is Zoe Crowson of the Phoebe Research Fund, based in the Stamford area. And we're talking about Phoebe Research Funds because Phoebe's condition is under the spotlight this week because it's EB Awareness Week. Now, Zoe, first of all, tell us what EB stands for and what essentially it is.
Well, EB is a group of genetic disorders where the skin is fragile. The type that Phoebe's got is recessive dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa, which is a bit of a mouthful, so we shorten it to RDEB. And it's incredibly rare. Of the 5,000 sufferers of EB in the UK, there's probably only 50 people in the UK that suffer with the particular type that Phoebe has. And it's basically the equivalent to a 3rd-degree burn if she knocks and bumps herself, which is obviously incredibly nasty, but her skin blisters as well, and she suffers internally, which causes her throat to narrow, and her whole digestive tract is affected.
Now, you're telling me that next week Phoebe's off to hospital. She's having her 5th throat stretch. So basically that's to allow her better digestion, I guess.
It is, yeah. It's one of those things of you can't really tell externally when she's due one, but she starts to display choking signs or her throat is blistering. It's not something you can particularly control, and from time to time she needs her throat widened to allow her to eat. However, I think on reflection, you know, the more mushed up the food, the better for her. And at the moment she's on complete liquid food. But she does struggle to go to the toilet as well. So, like I say, it is the entire digestive tract that is affected.
Now, she does do an awful lot, doesn't she? She goes to school at Copt Hill. A lot of people know her around the area as well, and she always seems to have a smile on her face whenever you see photos.
That's the ridiculous thing. She's the happiest child you'd ever meet. And half the issue, I suppose, for us is people don't necessarily make the allowances. We're very well supported locally and everyone knows who she is, so they give her a bit of space. But because she looks fairly good externally until you take her clothes off, you wouldn't know because she never complains. And she can talk to people on pretty much any level, adult, children or whatever, and she's incredibly good at explaining it, probably better than myself actually. And her class peers at school are incredibly accepting of her, and all the worries you have as a mother is she going to fit in? Basically, she just gets on with it, and people have a lot of respect for her because of it.
Now, you set up the Phoebe Research Fund primarily to actually get more research into her condition. You've raised several thousand so far.
Yeah, we were up to nearly 40,000. I had the pleasure of handing over the first 20,000 to Professor John McGrath, who's at the top of his game basically worldwide. He's one of the top dermatologists, and he's, in a nutshell, researching RDEB. And he pretty much works 7 days a week. And, it was an absolute pleasure to meet him because it gives you real hope in that there are lots of things going on in that field, but it all comes down to pounds and pence, and he can only carry out the research if the funding is there. And he was telling me about one specific trial in Japan, which is accelerating wound healing intravenously and things like that, which Phoebe could be applicable for. But with Phoebe's genetic fault, it really is sorting it from the inside out. But, whereas 7 years ago when I had Phoebe, there was not much hope, I would say I'm incredibly optimistic at all the work that's going on. So every single penny that the Phoebe Research Fund raises will go into research and nothing else. There's no other costs involved, so it's very good in that respect.
And you've had lots of funds raised, as you say, from all kinds of different avenues, from charity runs to, there were two people who actually walked from Stamford all the way down to Great Ormond Street, where presumably is where Phoebe receives her treatment. It
is, yeah. We're back there next week, as you said, for her next throat stretch. The nurses are incredible people. Yes, Mark Thomas and Mike Wen did a triple challenge, which you covered a while back, which was basically the Rat Race twice, the London Marathon, and also walking to Great Ormond Street. And it's surprising, 100 miles, I was going from tending to Phoebe's blisters to two grown men, and I can tell you what I prefer.
Yes.
But, they've done an amazing job to raise awareness through that. We met Warwick en route, and obviously Colin Furze got involved as well. So we've had a lot of local support. In fact, Mark Thomas is now one of my trustees, and he is just an unstoppable force, really. In fact, he's starting to help me set up a 5-kilometre run through Stamford next year, which is quite an exciting thing, really.
And you've had 2 charity auction nights at the William Cecil. The last one was just a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, it went very well. They've been an incredible support as well. I work with their social media people, and it's a lovely event. It's only a small event. There's only 80 tickets, so we'll be there again next year. We got an incredible amount of support from the Lights of Oundle Travel that donated a trip to Florence, Dawson's who donated a beautiful necklace, Prevost that donated a meal for 9 courses, if anyone could manage that.
9 courses? No.
I know.
Oh, that is tough, isn't it?
I went there the other night, and I have to say Lee Clark is an incredible chef, and I'm just thinking, I don't know how anyone could manage 9 courses. What's nice for me is I get to know a lot about a lot of different industries as well. I'm not into cars myself, but Maserati have been really supportive, and it's gaining momentum, and also a massive supporter of ours, and they've actually host a garden party each year now, and a golf day is Pilot Fish, who are a financial company in Bourne and Santander as well. So it's gaining momentum. I'm getting some lovely people on board, and I consider most of them friends as well because I see them all the time, so it's nice from that respect.
EB Awareness Week this week, we're talking really, I guess, to raise awareness, and if anyone would like to support you.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very easy to get in touch with you, I know.
It is. We're looking for sponsors and volunteers for our 5k run next year. We've got the charity auction. There's lots of bits and pieces we've got in the pipeline, and the thing that we're looking for really is if anyone knows anybody that can supply t-shirts. We've got 500 runners for the run, and I know we've potentially sold a lot of the places already, which again is incredible because at the moment we're almost in the concept stage. We're having a meeting to discuss how we make this happen, because as you know, actually logistically putting something together, it's such a hard graft and a lot of work. work, and everything that we do, I want it done with precision and done nicely, and even down to the auction, the brochure that H&R Design, who are also trustees, the amount of effort they put into it is mind-blowing, really. And that's where I'm lucky. You know, I'm probably not the biggest charity out there, but the support I get is phenomenal. So I'm very grateful to everyone involved.
So thank you so much if you supported the Phoebe Research Fund. There's still very much more to do, but this professor just sounds like he's doing amazing work, really, and, you know, the future looks optimistic.
It is. A few years ago, it was quite depressing, and it's his enthusiasm as well. And he's one of these people where, as far as he's concerned, and as far as I'm concerned as a mum, until there is a cure there's money to be raised, there's research to be carried out. And I also had the pleasure of meeting Sahana, who won the Pride of Britain 2015, for Courage, who happens to be incredibly poorly, very severe. Every single day, like Phoebe, she's in pain. I met the mum who raises a lot of money for EB as well. And again, her money goes straight to the professor. There's no kind of overheads or anything like that. And that's where we're a little bit different, because we're mums that just want to see our children here in a few years' time, because it is life limiting at the end of the day. And that's what makes you sit up and think, OK, you know, this isn't just a minor skin issue. It's not eczema. This is really bad. You know, we need to get it fixed. And until it's fixed, you know, the professor's kind of on board of it. You've got Sahana's mummy, and obviously I'm recently on board with raising money, and that's where everyone's been so good, really. Once they kind of get it, they realise the severity of it.
Zoe Crowson, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio on EB Awareness Week. And if people would like to find out more about the Phoebe Research Fund, you can be found very easily on social media and your website as well, I know.
That's it. Thank you very much, Rob.
This is Rutland Radio.
So I'm with Paul Rogerson, who is the race director today, the parkrun director, aren't you, for the race? Yeah.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about the run.
Well, it's a 5k run, takes place here every Saturday at 9 o'clock, and it's for everyone, any ability. Some people walk it, some people come with their kids in pushchairs, some people sprint it and do very good times, and other people try and improve every week. But it's really open to everyone, and it's free of charge.
And it's your first anniversary.
It is.
But it's also the 50th as well. Am I right?
Yes, it's the 50th run. It should be obviously 52 if we're 1 year old, but some weeks we can't do the park run because there's other events on at Rutland Water, and so we have to disappear that week and come back the following week. So it's the 24th of October last year when we started, so it's 1 year old.
And it's going to continue then?
Oh yes,
yeah.
It's been very successful. We've had usually about 150 runners every week come and do the run, so it's definitely part of the running fixture now for Rutland.
And what's the run? What's the track that you do?
We run alongside Rutland Water. It must be one of the prettiest park runs in the country, because we run right beside the water from Normanton Church, where it's half sunk in the water, up to the dam, part way across the dam, turn round and then run back again the same way. So it's easy, very flat course. I think there's 2 feet of hill in the whole course, so a very good one to do a PB on.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.